Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Podcast with special guests Marie, Chloe, and Selah.
Where do we go?
This is the podcast for all five of us. Yes, five of us went and saw a movie at our local Regal Cinema Theater. And now we're going to talk about it. In Matt's Honda Pilot, in the parking structure right next to the movie theater, we're going to talk about such things as should you see this movie, should you not see this movie, should you bring kids, should you not bring kids, should you bring a date, should you bring a snack, should you nap during it? I don't know. We're going to talk about all these things, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, who knows. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy, and I'll just say the name of our podcast is Matt and Todd Go to the Movies.
Oh, yeah.
But... we're here with a special Christmas Eve edition. We're out on the town on Christmas Eve, just a little bit before Santa comes down everyone's chimney simultaneously in every time zone.
Yep.
And we saw a movie tonight, and this movie is called Wonka. This is a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory prequel movie. It is the story of how he became... how he got his start in the chocolate business, really. That's what it's about. It's a musical. And our friend of the show, Tim Davis, is not here tonight, so I'll tell you who's in this movie. Timothée Chalamet is in this movie, or the French pronunciation is Timothée Chalamet. That's just how they say it in France. Hugh Grant is in this movie, playing an Oompa Loompa. And Rowan Atkinson is in this movie. Who else?
Keegan-Michael Key.
Yes, okay.
As far as like famous people, I mean, I would say that's it. I mean, some of the people I recognize, but I don't think they're like. I think the old accountant guy was in Downton Abbey.
Okay.
Yes, he was.
Okay.
Gotcha. What's his name?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Don't know. Okay. Well, I think if we don't know his name, he can qualify as not a famous person. So that's that. What is this movie about? Well, I kind of told you. I mean, it's the story of Willy Wonka getting his start in an unknown city selling chocolate. He sings about it quite a lot, just like kind of the other Wonka movies. They're musically based, and so you get a lot of songs. But this movie takes you through him coming to town and kind of getting trapped into a contract where he had to work at a laundry underneath a hotel of some kind, and he owed them many lots of money, and so he was trapped in working there and also trying to start a chocolate business. And also there's the chocolate cartel of this town, this three people who sold chocolates who were in cahoots, and they were trying to stop him, and they had the police in their pocket, and the police was therefore stopping him at every turn. So it's just the story of him opening up his shop and how he defeated all comers who tried to stop him, and good triumphs over evil, and everyone lives happily ever after in Chocolate Land. And so that's what the movie's about. Todd, what is your sweet impression, your gut reaction to Wonka?
Well, I would say right off the bat, initial feeling walking out of the theater was that I wasn't the biggest fan of this movie. Maybe I'll be on my own island for this one. I felt like some of the musical numbers were just like thrown in because it was like, oh, we got to have him sing every 10 to 15 minutes, so let's just throw in another one. And I just don't think any movie that's come after the original has just captured the magic of the original at all. Like the wonderment. There were scenes in this movie where they tried, but every time they weren't dealing with the wonderment of whatever Wonka was doing with chocolate, I was like, let's get back to that. Like, that's what I want to see. Like, there's several different storylines going on in here, several different people, several different things, and I don't know. It's not what I expected it to be, and I thought the acting was fine. I'm not sure if Timothée Chalamet is a good singer or not. It's hard. It was hard for me to say yes or no to that. Like, some songs I thought were good that he did, and some songs I were like, that's not pleasing to my ears. But I don't know if that's just like the grumpy old man in me. Like, maybe I'm like beyond experiencing the magic. But I don't know. I just I didn't think it was a strong outing. I think also my opinion and my rating is going to be tainted because I was sitting next to this family where, like, one kid was in the row below and the mom and the other kid were in above, and the kid kept coming up for full-on conversations, and like she would whip out her phone to write an email. I mean, it was a horrible experience. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna leave it there. I wasn't the biggest fan. I don't think it's a horrible movie. I just like, and maybe I don't even know what I was expecting, but it just wasn't for me. And I'm hoping that everyone else has a better opinion. And I know this is probably primarily for kids. Even though there is like some attempted murder in this movie and stuff like that, which was weird to me, but that's gonna be me. Let's start with Selah. Selah, how did you like this movie?
It was okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of torture inside of it.
A lot of torture?
I did not like that.
You didn't like the torture. Anything else you want to say about it?
I don't know why. Willy Wonka is just like all about chocolate.
Well, he's the chocolate man.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Okay, I see. Chloe?
So I do have to agree. I did not love the movie. I felt the plot itself, it was okay. It definitely is different than the other two movies. So if you're looking for something that's kind of more of like a definite prequel to the previous movies, this is not that. It kind of is like its own little universe of it. I definitely feel like the plot, there was a lot going on. It wasn't necessarily all super cohesive. And as for Wonka himself, I do feel that Timothée Chalamet didn't really have the energy that I was looking for. You know, you think Willy Wonka, there's not a lot going on there. He just kind of does his thing. You never know what's going to happen next. It's very whimsical. And I do think Timothée Chalamet put his best foot forward, but I don't feel that he really had that whimsical energy. Like, it did feel a little forced.
He was no Gene Wilder.
No, he was no Gene Wilder.
Marie?
My positives were, it was mostly a sweet story about connection and building your community and your family and sticking together and loyalty and a common cause and good versus evil. I enjoyed the some of the background music were all the songs from the original. The homage to Gene Wilder, I think Timothy did a pretty good job. You could see Gene Wilder in him, in some of the facial expressions and the way he really was trying to be a young Gene Wilder. And there were, a couple of good moments, but my definite minuses were the story was pretty lame. There were too many subplots going on, and I love musicals, but none of the songs grabbed me, and I was finally relieved at the last song because I'm like, if they get through this movie and they don't sing this one particular song, I was going to be kind of annoyed. So I thought it was a sweet film, but it was nothing that I would see again or would highly recommend.
Fair.
Okay.
Matt?
Well, I am, I think, a little bit of an outlier in this one, as I really enjoyed this movie. I thought the songs were pretty good. I thought the plot, to me, was very, very similar to the original movie, and having of different subplots and themes. And so I really enjoyed this, and I thought it was kind of magical from that perspective. In the same way, paying homage to the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie. So, I had a good time. I didn't have anyone in my ear having conversations or writing emails on their phone. So I was able to kind of absorb it and enjoy it. And so, I'll leave it at that. I had a good time. I didn't have anything bad to say about the movie, with one notable exception. So, mammals produce milk after they give birth to an offspring.
Sure.
Right? There's a scene in this movie where a giraffe is milked. And there's no offspring around. We can't assume that the giraffe has been being milked since it has had its last offspring. There's no reason for the giraffe to be lactating. And we've got to stop doing this in movie. Cows give milk. Yes, they give milk because they have a baby and then they're milked. From then on, they're milked until the milk dries up. And then they have another baby. And that's all part of farming that we don't really think about. People think mammals just produce milk, except humans. All the time, they just produce it and we can milk mammals. So that's a little pet peeve of mine. There's the scene where the giraffe was milked. It's a bridge too far. Unless there's a baby giraffe there that is nursing on that mama giraffe, there's no milk produced.
You'd prefer it if there was a baby there and they just kick the baby right out of the way and we're like, give us that milk.
I prefer that there was a baby there who was enjoying the milk, and so there was a reason for the mama to be producing that milk. Yes.
But the chocolates that make people levitate and fly didn't bother you at all, and
It's fantasy.
No, that's just fantasy. When we're down to the
giraffes.
hard,
I was more upset that they set the giraffe loose in the church and they acted like it was a monster than I was the lactating giraffe, which was so absurd.
I sense that we're getting into spoiler territory.
Well,
There is a giraffe. Whether or whether not it should be lactating is what's called into question right now.
right, and I don't think that's a spoiler.
I do wonder why there was that religious church theme, though. We haven't talked about that.
That's true. There was a religious church theme. I don't know. It was just part of the insanity for me.
It was all a little weird.
So to bring it back around to my impression, I like absurd things. There was plenty of absurdity in this. That's going to bump up my enjoyment of any movie, really. So with the exception of the absurdity of mammals lactating without having children.
Sure.
So that's where I'll leave it. I'll say I enjoyed this movie, and I think you should see it.
Well, does anyone remember the name of the floating chocolate that made people float?
It was just something bug.
Something chalk. Bug chalk? I don't know.
Flutterbug?
All right, we'll have to
I do
go with
not
something else
remember.
then.
Google it.
All right. How many Oompa Loompas would you give this movie? A safe fallback.
Is this out of 5 or 10?
It's out of 5, but I was gonna get there. I don't mess up all the time. 0 being the worst, because then you have no Oompa Loompas, and then what's happening? You're not making chocolate. You're not doing anything. 5 being the best, because then you've got 5 helpers, which we hope is not slave work. It doesn't seem like it is, but we don't know the arrangement. That's all I'm saying. We don't know the arrangement.
There's no slave work in this movie.
In this movie.
Well, except for in the laundry.
Yeah,
Well, that's true.
yeah, that's true. But that's not. No Oompa Loompa was harmed in the laundry unit.
Correct.
So, Matt.
Well, out of the number of Oompa Loompas possible, I'm going to give this a 3.5 Oompa Loompas out of 5. I really had a good time, and like I said, absurdity ruled the day in many cases. And this is definitely a family movie. I think it's fine, aside from the torture that Selah is complaining about. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
For families.
Hover chalk.
Hover chalk.
Hover chalk, yes. Well,
Selah, how many Oompa Loompas
And
are
then
you
there
going
was
to give
the
this
delayed
movie?
hover chalk.
I'll give this like 4.
4 Oompa Loompas? Nice.
solid.
Chloe?
I would give it a nice solid 2.5 Oompa Loompas. Right down the middle.
Right
It wasn't
down
a
the
bad
middle.
movie. I didn't not enjoy myself. I didn't want to leave. But it was nothing I'd write home about. I think it's a good, solid movie that you could put on in the background while you clean your house.
Marie?
I'm a 2.5 Oompa Loompas as well.
Okay. Todd?
I am going to land on a 1.9 Oompa Loompas. Both with mother and her kids were very distracting, and just wasn't feeling it. What I've wanted for years is a movie to establish why Willy Wonka closed his doors, from the original. We're just kind of thrown into the fact that that's the way life is for Willy Wonka. And now I want to know. I'm like, what has happened from starting your chocolate factory?
That's going to be the next movie, Todd.
Hopefully, I'd like to know.
Write your own movie.
And, well, that takes talent that I don't. Stop. And so that's where I'm going to be at 1.9. If you're going to make another Wonka movie, let's talk about how Wonka got depressed. That's what I'd like to know.
Fair enough. Okay. Any final thoughts?
I would just say I enjoyed the things that they put in this prequel that you remember from the 1971 Gene Wilder movie, and you can go, oh, that's where you got that from. Oh, this ties in. Oh, yeah, this is interesting. So I don't know how he got from the things that happened in this movie to how he utilized the same event or tool later, but that was kind of fun to see a golden ticket and the small print and shoots and chocolate rivers and things like that show up later.
I agree.
I agree. That was part of my score.
Mm-hmm.
That exact thing.
That was fun.
I hated Hugh Grant Oompa Loompa. I thought it was
Wow.
useless.
Yeah.
He looked
And
a little
dumb.
funny.
It's too bad.
Yeah,
I loved him.
you're part of the problem.
I didn't think I would like him at all, but I ended up liking the Oompa Loompa whole scenario, including Hugh Grant. And that's just me. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, where we review the movie Wonka on Christmas Eve night. It's 11 p.m. right now, 1 hour to Santa, and we came up with an average rating of 2.88 out of Oompa Loompas out of 5, which is slightly above average, pulled by Selah and I. And so I would say the podcast as a whole recommends you see this movie. Todd recommends you don't see this movie. But if you can avoid having someone sit next to you who's going to be a problem for you, you might like it enough to say, I'll watch it. Or maybe you'll watch it cleaning your house.
Well, let us know on social media if you're Team Matt or Team Todd.
Yes.
That's important.
We're at odds this week. But we love it if you keep downloading, keep watching. Watching? You can't watch anything, but you can listen. Keep listening and subscribe to our podcast. And I'm going to give a special shout out to Chloe Meakin, who's on the podcast today. She gave me a Christmas present, which was pretty awesome. It's a new shirt that I'm wearing tonight that says, "This is my movie watching shirt." And on the back, it says that I'm a member of Matt and Todd. Go to the Movies podcast, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So,
you are.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
it is.
Chloe, and we will see you next time.
Da 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 da
Da da
da da da.
da da da.